The cold encounter, the wind howled across the frozen valley, sharp like broken glass. A lone human sat inside a small tent. His only shelter from the deadly cold. His fire was weak, his food almost gone. Every night he wondered if he would survive. Until morning, the planet was cruel. Its days were short, its nights endless. The snow never stopped falling. Then the human had learned quickly that this world wanted him dead, and yet he refused to give up. For humans had always been stubborn, always fighting for life where no life should be. Inside the tent, he rubbed his hands near the small heater. His breath turned to fog in the cold air. He pulled the blanket tighter around his shoulders and listened to the storm outside. It was another lonely night, another night where the silence of the stars pressed heavy against his heart. Then he heard something. At first, he thought it was the wind, but the sound grew clearer. Closer, it was a voice, soft, trembling, desperate. He froze. His hand reached for the small knife near his side. No one should be out here, not in this storm. The flap of the tent moved. A shadow appeared. A figure stepped inside without waiting for permission. It was an alien girl. Her skin was pale, glowing faintly in the firelight. Her eyes were large, filled with fear and exhaustion. Her body shook from the cold. She wrapped her arms around herself. Shivering violently, the human stared in shock. He had seen her kind before, but never this close, never this vulnerable. She looked at him, her lips trembling. "Warmth," she whispered, her voice weak. "I need warmth." For a moment, he hesitated. He did not know if this was a trap, or if she was truly dying. But her body swayed as if she would collapse any second. He pulled the blanket off his shoulders and handed it to her. "Sit," he said firmly. His voice was cautious, but not unkind. She obeyed. Sinking to the floor beside the weak fire, the blanket covered her thin frame. And slowly her shaking eased. She closed her eyes, letting out a long breath, as if she had just escaped death. The human studied her carefully. Why was she here? Why alone? He had been told her people were proud, cold, and distant. They did not beg for help. They did not lower themselves before humans. And yet, here she was, inside his tent, asking for warmth. Minutes passed in silence. Only the crackling of the small fire filled the air. The human finally spoke. "Why are you here? What happened?" Her eyes opened slowly. She looked at him, but her gaze was strange, too focused, too sharp. "I was lost in the storm," she said. "Your fire drew me here." He frowned. Something in her tone did not match her words, but he said nothing. Instead, he handed her a small container of water. She drank eagerly, her throat dry. Then she asked, "Why do you help me?" "You do not know me. You do not know if I am friend or enemy." The human shrugged. "Because you are cold. Because you would have died." She tilted her head, her eyes studying him. Her people were known for their strength, their survival. They did not show weakness. Yet this human had given her warmth without question. For a long time, she said nothing. She simply sat close to the fire, watching him as though searching for something. The human felt uneasy. He had thought she only wanted warmth, only shelter. But the way she looked at him made him wonder. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside the tent, silence grew heavy. Finally, she spoke again, her voice soft but curious. "Humans are strange. You give without demand. You help without knowing why." He raised an eyebrow. "And that surprises you?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, it surprises me. Very much." The human leaned back, still watching her carefully. He told himself she was just another traveler, another survivor of the storm. But deep inside, he felt something else. He felt that this encounter was not chance. Something about her presence carried weight. Something about her eyes said she had not come here only for warmth. The alien girl pulled the blanket tighter. Her gaze shifted to the fire, but her thoughts were hidden. She did not tell him why she had truly entered his tent. She did not tell him the real reason she had sought him out. And so the human sat in silence, staring at the flames, unaware that his simple act of kindness would change everything. For this was not just survival. This was the beginning of a bond that would shake two worlds. Shared fire. Hidden truths. The storm outside did not rest. The wind screamed against the tent walls. The snow beat down without mercy. Inside, the fire burned weakly, fighting against the cold. The human sat across from the alien girl, watching her carefully. She was wrapped in his blanket, her pale skin glowing faintly in the firelight. Her long fingers pressed close to the flames as if she had never felt warmth before. At first, he told himself this was simple. She was cold. He had helped, nothing more. But the longer she sat there, the more uneasy he felt. The alien girl broke the silence. Her voice was soft, almost testing. "You risk much by letting me in. What if I was dangerous?" The human shrugged. "Then I would deal with it. But you didn't look dangerous. You looked frozen." Her eyes narrowed slightly, as though she was studying not just his words, but the way he spoke them. She tilted her head. "Humans are strange. You act first, then think later. You give without asking for return." He smirked faintly. "Maybe. Or maybe we just don't like to watch someone die when we can help." She leaned back, her eyes never leaving him. "And what do you expect from me now? Gratitude, service, debt?" The human shook his head. "Nothing. I don't expect anything." Her lips curved slightly. Not into a smile, but into something harder to read. "Strange," she whispered again. "Very strange, for a while." Silence returned. The human fixed the fire. Adding the last bits of fuel he had, he offered her some dried rations. She accepted, eating slowly. But her eyes still studied him, as if each movement revealed a secret. Finally, she asked, "Why are you here, human? Alone on this world?" The human hesitated. He rarely spoke of his past. But something about her gaze pulled words from him. Exploration, mission, my team. Didn't make it, the storm took them. I was the only one left. She tilted her head again. "And yet, you still live. Humans live," he said simply. "That's what we do." For the first time, her eyes softened, her voice lowered, almost thoughtful. "Your people survive, even when you should not. That is why you are feared. That is why you are watched." The human frowned. Watched. The human frowned. Watched. By who? She looked away, staring at the fire. Her silence was an answer in itself. The human leaned closer. "Why were you out in that storm? You didn't look like you just got lost." The alien girl's shoulders tensed under the blanket. For a long time, she did not reply. Then she whispered, "I was searching. Searching for what?" He asked. Her eyes met his again, sharp, glowing faintly. "For you." The fire popped, filling the silence between them. The human stared, confused. "For me. You don't even know me." She shook her head. "I do not need to know you, human, only what you are." His grip tightened on the knife at his side. His instincts screamed at him that her words meant more than they seemed. "And what exactly am I?" She leaned forward, her gaze piercing. "Proof. Proof that humans are not just stories. Proof that your kind can do what others cannot." I needed to see it with my own eyes. The human's chest tightened. He had heard of her people cold, logical, cruel at times. They did not praise outsiders. They did not seek help. But here she was, speaking as if he was some kind of answer. He forced a small laugh, though unease filled him. "You came into my tent nearly frozen to death, and now you say you were searching for me. That doesn't make sense." Her voice grew sharper, though quiet. "Does survival ever make sense? Does hope? You are alive when your kind should not be. That makes you valuable. The human didn't like the word. Valuable to who? She looked at the flames again, her expression unreadable to me, to my people. Perhaps even to the future. The storm outside screamed louder, as if echoing her words. The human felt the weight of something heavy, something larger than just a girl asking for warmth. He had thought she was a traveler, desperate, vulnerable. But now he realized she carried purpose. She had entered his tent not only to survive the storm, but to see him, to test him. The human leaned back slowly, his hands still close to the knife. "You're hiding something," he said quietly. "You didn't come here by accident, did you?" The alien girl's eyes glimmered in the firelight, her lips parted slightly. But she gave no answer. Instead, she whispered, "The storm will pass, but when it does, your life will never be the same." The human felt his chest tighten again. He didn't understand what she meant, but deep inside, he knew one thing: this was no simple encounter. This girl was not lost, not helpless. She had chosen him. And as the fire burned low and the storm raged on, he realized with a cold shiver that offering her warmth may have been the most dangerous decision of his life. The cultural divide. The storm outside had passed, the winds were calm, and the first pale light of dawn touched the frozen world. But inside the tent, silence still hung like a shadow. The human sat near the fire, sharpening his small blade with slow, steady movements. The alien girl sat opposite him, wrapped in his blanket, her eyes fixed on him with the same strange intensity as the night before. For hours they had spoken little, yet her words still echoed in his mind. "I was searching for you. Humans are valuable." He wanted answers, but he knew forcing them would only make her more guarded, so he waited. Finally, she broke the silence. Her voice was calm, almost curious. "On your world, do you share fire freely with strangers?" Human looked up, his brow furrowed. "Sometimes, yes. If someone is cold, we help them." Her head tilted, "Even if they are an enemy." He paused. "If someone is dying, yes, we save them first. Question later." Her lips pressed together, as if weighing his answer. "Strange," she whispered again. "Your people act with compassion before reason. My people, we act with dominance before mercy." The human studied her carefully. "What do you mean?" She leaned closer to the fire, her pale eyes reflecting the flames. "Where I come from, weakness is punished. Survival is not shared. If one falls, another takes their place. To give warmth to another without demand is forbidden." The human's chest tightened. He had suspected she was different, but hearing it made the gap between them feel even wider. "So why are you here then? Why accept my warmth if it's forbidden?" Her gaze flickered, not away, but deeper. "Because I needed it, because I wanted to understand. To feel what you humans call kindness." The human shook his head slowly. "And what do you think now?" She was silent for a long time. Her hands tightened around the blanket. Finally, she said, "It is dangerous. Kindness is more dangerous than cruelty, because it makes you trust. It makes you lower your guard, and in my people's eyes, that is weakness." He frowned. "But maybe it's also strength. Kindness builds bonds. Cruelty only builds fear." Her eyes narrowed. "Fear controls. Fear keeps order. Kindness invites chaos." The human smirked faintly. "Maybe that's why we humans thrive in chaos for the first time." A faint sound escaped her lips, something like laughter, but soft, cautious, as if she was surprised by her own reaction. But the lightness did not last long. Her face grew serious again. Her voice lowered. "Do you know of our rituals, human?" He shook his head. "No." Her eyes gleamed faintly in the firelight. "When a stranger shares fire with one of us, it is not only survival, it is a bond, it is a promise. In our culture, to share warmth is sacred. The human's chest tightened again. Sacred. I didn't promise you anything. I just kept you alive. Her head tilted, her voice firm. You promised without knowing. Now our bond is made. He felt a cold shiver crawl down his spine. Bond. What kind of bond? Her silence was heavier than the storm outside. Finally, she whispered, one that cannot be broken. The human stood, pacing the tent. His instincts screamed danger. I didn't agree to this. I didn't even know about it. She followed him with her eyes. Calm. It does not matter. My people will see it. They will know. You shared fire. You gave warmth. That is enough. He clenched his fists. And what happens now? What does this so-called bond mean? Her gaze softened, though her words were sharp. It means your life is no longer only yours. It belongs to the bond, to me, to us. His heart raised. He had thought he was saving a life, but now he realized he had stepped into something larger, something dangerous. Why didn't you tell me before? She looked at him, her voice steady. Would you have let me in if you knew? His jaw tightened. He wanted to shout, to accuse, but deep inside, he knew she was right. He would not have opened his tent if he had known her true intentions. The silence between them grew heavy again. The fire crackled weakly. Outside, the snow fell softer now. At last, the human spoke, his voice low. You came here with purpose. You didn't stumble into my camp. You were sent. Her eyes locked on his. Unblinking, yes, she admitted, I was sent. My people wanted proof of human spirit. They wanted to see if you were, as the stories say, compassionate, foolish, resilient. He stared at her, his breath heavy. And what do you think now? Do I pass your test? For the first time, her expression shifted, less cold. More uncertain, her voice was quiet. Yes, you pass. But it is not only proof. It is something else. Something I did not expect. The human's chest tightened again. And what is? That, her eyes dropped for the first time, her voice barely a whisper. I trust you. The words shocked him more than anything she had said. Her kind did not trust. Her kind did not share. And yet here she was, confessing a truth forbidden to her people. The human sat back down slowly, his knife still in reach. But, his anger softening, he realized now this was no simple encounter. This was not just about surviving a storm. It was about cultures colliding, values clashing, and something new being born. But he also realized something darker. If her people believed in this bond, if they knew she had chosen him, then he was already in danger. The human stared at the flames, his mind racing. She had shocked him with her truth, but he knew this was only the beginning. And somewhere, far beyond the storm, her people waited. The hidden intention, the fire inside the tent burned low, its light flickering across two faces locked in silence. The human sharpened his blade slowly, his thoughts heavy. The alien girl sat still under the blanket, her eyes calm, yet unreadable. He had learned many truths during the storm, truths about her people, about bonds, about what sharing warmth meant to her culture. But deep inside, he knew she was still hiding something, something larger than ritual, something she was afraid to speak aloud. Finally, he broke the silence, his voice firm. You didn't come here just to survive the cold. You came with purpose. Tell me the truth. What do you really want from me? The alien girl did not answer at once, her eyes lowered to the dying fire, her pale hands tightening around the blanket. For a moment, she looked almost fragile. But when she spoke, her voice was steady. You are right. I was sent. I came not only for warmth, but for proof and for something more. The human leaned forward, his grip tightening on the knife. Proof of what? She lifted her gaze, her eyes glowing faintly in the firelight. Proof that humans are what the stories say, creatures of resilience. Beings who give life where others cannot. His chest tightened. Stories? What stories? Her voice lowered. Among my people, there are whispers. They say humans are different. That your kind carries a strength not found in others. Some call it spirit, some call it madness, but whatever it is, they believe it may be the key to our survival. The human frowned, his confusion growing. Survival. What do you mean? The alien girl drew a slow breath, as if choosing her words carefully. My people are dying. Our bodies can endure much, but something in us is failing. Generations weaken. Fewer children are born. We are fading, and so the council searched the stars for answers. They looked to you humans. The human felt his blood run cold. He shook his head. So what? You came here to test me, to see if I could survive a storm. That's not survival. That's cruelty. Her eyes flashed. It is necessity. My people do not care for kindness. They care for results. They believe that if humans can give what we cannot, then perhaps you are our solution. The human rose to his feet, anger building. Solution. I am not some experiment. I saved your life, and now you tell me I was just part of your mission. She stood too, the blanket falling from her shoulders. Her voice was sharp, but not cruel. You did more than save me. Human, you proved the story's true. You gave warmth without demand. You shared fire without fear. You gave life where I would have lost mine. That is what my people cannot do. That is why you matter. He stepped back, his jaw tight, his instincts screamed danger. And what do your people plan to do with this? Proof? She hesitated, her eyes softening for the first time. Her voice dropped to a whisper. They plan to use you, to use your kind. If humans carry the strength we lack, they will want it, no matter the cost. The human's heart pounded. He understood. Now her arrival had never been chance. Her weakness, her request for warmth, even her silence. All part of something bigger. He had not just let a stranger into his tent. He had let an entire alien species into his life. You tricked me, he said quietly, his voice heavy with betrayal. Her expression tightened. I did not trick you. I needed you. I still do. But Yesai came with purpose. My people sent me to test, to learn, to see if humans could truly be what they hoped. He clenched his fists. And if I had failed? If I had left you to die in the storm? Her eyes lowered. Then I would be dead, and my people would say the stories were lies. That humans are no different than us. But you did not fail. You proved them right, and now the future has changed. The human turned away, running a hand through his hair. His mind spun with anger and confusion. You talk about the future, but what about me? What about my choice? I didn't agree to any of this. Her voice softened, almost pleading. Choice is rare in my world. Human, we are bound by duty, by survival. But you chose. You gave warmth when you did not have to. That choice is why you are different. That choice is why you are dangerous to my people, and why you are needed. He looked at her. Anger still burning in his chest, but beneath it, he felt something else, a chill of realization. He was no longer just a survivor on a frozen world. He was part of something larger. A story that stretched beyond his own life. The alien girl stepped closer, her eyes locked on his. I did not lie when I said I was cold. I would have died without you. But I also did not lie when I said I was searching. You were the one I was meant to find. Her words struck him deeper than he wanted to admit. He wanted to push her away, to reject her truth. But he could not forget the way she had looked when she entered his tent, fragile, shivering, desperate, and he could not deny that in saving her, something had changed inside him too. The fire burned low, casting long shadows on the tent walls. The human finally spoke, his voice quiet but firm. If what you say is true, then I'm already in danger. If your people want humans, They won't stop with me. She nodded slowly. Yes, they will come. They will seek you. They will seek all of you. That is why I came first, because I wanted to see for myself if humans were worth saving. His chest tightened again, and, "What's your answer?" Her eyes softened, her voice almost trembling. "Yes, you are worth saving, even if it means betraying my own people." The human stared at her, shock and suspicion fighting within him. He knew this was no simple survival story anymore. He knew that offering her warmth had tied him to something far greater. And outside, beneath the endless stars, he felt a shadow moving. The alien girl had revealed her hidden intention, but he knew this was only the beginning. The confrontation, the storm, had ended. But a heavier storm now brewed inside the human's chest. He could not erase the girl's words from his mind. She had admitted everything she was sent. She was testing him. And her people wanted humans for something far greater than he could imagine. He sat by the fire, staring at the flames until his eyes blurred. The alien girl sat across from him, quiet, her gaze lowered. She had revealed her hidden intention, but that truth had only created more questions. Silence pressed on the tent like a second storm. Finally, the human spoke, his voice low and sharp. "So, what happens now? Your people come for me. For all of us?" The alien girl raised her eyes. Her voice was calm, but there was weight in it. "Yes, they will come, but not yet. They do not know I have found you." The human's fists clenched, and when they do? What will they do? Capture me, study me, break me apart to see why we survive where you don't. Her lips tightened. She did not answer, and her silence was louder than words. The human stood, anger boiling. "You should never have come. You should have died in that storm before dragging me into this." Her eyes flashed, and for the first time, her voice carried fire. "If I had died, nothing would change. My people would still come. They would still hunt. You think this began with me? No, human. I am only the messenger. The tide is already moving." The human stopped, his anger shaking. For a moment, he wanted to throw her out into the cold. But then he looked at her, her thin frame wrapped in his blanket, her eyes burning. Not with cruelty, but with something deeper, something like fear, something like defiance. He breathed heavily, his voice softer now. "Then why are you here still? Why haven't you left to tell them you found me?" She stared at the fire, her words trembling. "Because I do not want them to have you. Because I do not want them to have humans at all. Because for the first time, I believe the stories and I do not want them to use you as tools. I want to protect you." The human froze. He did not trust easily, and certainly not now. But he heard truth in her voice, fragile but real, before he could speak again. A sound split the silence, sharp, metallic, outside the tent. The human's head snapped toward the entrance. His instincts screamed danger. The alien girl's eyes widened. She whispered, "They found us." The tent flap burst open, and shadows flooded in. Figures tall and armored, their pale faces hidden. Behind masks, their eyes glowed faintly in the dark. They were her kind. The human grabbed his knife. But he knew it was useless against them. The alien girl stood, her voice rising. "Stop. Do not harm him." One of the masked aliens stepped forward, his voice cold and hard. "You have bonded with him," he said to the girl. "You betrayed our ways. You dishonored the council. Come with us, both of you." The human's grip tightened. On the knife, his heart pounded. He had known this moment would come, but not so soon. The alien girl stepped in front of him, her arms spread wide. "No, he is mine. The bond is real. If you take him, you take me too." The soldiers exchanged glances, murmuring among themselves. The leader's voice was sharper now. "Then so be it. You will answer before the council. The human will be studied." and you will be judged." The human's blood turned cold. He whispered harshly, "So this is it. This is what you brought me into." She turned her head to him, her eyes desperate. "I did not plan this, but I will not let them take you without me." The soldiers moved closer, their weapons humming faintly with energy. The human raised his knife, ready to fight, even though he knew he would lose. But the alien girl lifted her hand, her voice fierce. "Enough. You will not touch him. He shared fire with me. He gave warmth. By our laws, by our traditions, he is under my protection." The soldiers stopped, their eyes narrowing. The leader growled, "You twist the law. That bond was never meant for humans. Her." The voice was unshaken. "The law does not say that. The bond is sacred and it cannot be broken. If you harm him, you break our ways. You break everything for a moment." Silence filled the tent. The storm outside had ended. But here, the storm was alive. The human's chest heaved with breath. He realized the truth. The girl was not only protecting him, she was defying her people, risking everything for him. Finally, the leader spoke again. "Very well. You will come with us, both of you. The council will decide your fate. Until then, you are prisoners." The soldiers stepped back, giving them room, but the threat was clear. The human lowered his knife slowly. Knowing he could not win here, the alien girl reached for his hand, her grip firm, her voice low so only he could hear. "Trust me, I will not let them break you." He looked at her, confusion and anger still burning. But also something else, something like fragile hope. The soldiers led them out into the frozen night. The human glanced at the stars above, cold and distant for the first time. He understood his fight was no longer just survival against the cold. It was survival against an entire empire. And at his side, the alien girl walked with him, her hidden intention no longer secret, her confrontation with her people had begun, and the true battle was only just starting. The revelation, the journey through the frozen night, was long and silent. The human walked with his wrists bound, the alien girl at his side. Soldiers surrounded them, their weapons humming faintly in the dark. The storm had ended. But a colder storm waited ahead. Judgment. They were taken to a massive citadel carved into the ice itself. Its walls glowed faintly with alien lights, tall towers rising into the pale sky. It was the seat of her people's power, the High Council. Here, laws were written, lives decided, and rebellions crushed. The human had never seen such a place. The air was sharp, filled with whispers of old power. He felt the weight of 1,000 eyes watching him as they entered the great chamber. The chamber was vast, a circle of stone and crystal. At its center stood a high platform, and on that platform sat the council elders of her people. Cloaked in silver robes, their eyes burned with cold fire, their faces carved with lines of age and arrogance. The human and the alien girl were pushed to the center of the floor. Guards stood on every side. The chamber grew silent. One elder rose, his voice carrying across the hall like thunder. "You bring before us a human," he declared. "A creature unworthy of our laws, a parasite that clings to life where it should not, and worse, a daughter of our blood who has broken sacred tradition. She has bonded with this outsider and now claims protection by our own rights." The alien girl lifted her chin, her voice steady. "I do not claim. I speak the truth. He shared fire with me. He gave warmth. He gave life when I had none. By our ways, the bond is real. You cannot deny it." The chamber erupted with whispers. Some elders muttered in anger, others in disbelief. The idea that a human could be part of their sacred law was unthinkable. Another elder stood, her voice sharp. "The bond was never meant for his kind. Our ways are not toys to be twisted by weakness. You disgrace us by speaking such words." The alien girl did not falter. "It is not weakness to accept truth. He saved me, And in doing so, he proved what you refuse to see: humans carry a strength we lack. A strength our people need. The first elder turned his gaze on the human, his voice laced with disdain. And you, creature, do you understand what you have done? Do you understand that by offering fire, you defiled our customs? The human raised his head. His voice was steady, though his heart raced. I didn't know your customs. I only saw someone freezing to death, and where I come from, when someone is dying, you save them. You don't let them die because of rules. The chamber filled with murmurs again. Some eyes widened in shock at his boldness. Others narrowed with hate. The elder sneered. So you admitted to act without thought, without order. That is why your kind is dangerous. You spread chaos wherever you go. The human's fists clenched. But his voice remained calm. Maybe, but sometimes chaos brings life. Sometimes rules bring death. You call me weak, but I'm standing here because I survived what others could not. I didn't need power. I didn't need armies. I just needed will. That is what it means to be human. His words echoed through the chamber. The alien girl's eyes softened as she listened for the first time. Her people were hearing the truth she had felt but could not say. Another elder rose, his face twisted in anger. Enough. This human is no heir, no savior. He is a threat. His existence insults us. He must be destroyed, and the girl must be punished for her treason. The human's chest tightened. His death was being called like a simple command, but before the guards could move, the alien girl stepped forward, her voice ringing with fire. No, she shouted. Her voice shook the hall. You will not touch him. He is not my shame. He is my proof. If you kill him, you kill the truth. You kill the only chance we have to survive. The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to her. Her voice grew stronger. You say we are strong, yet we are dying. You say we are pure, yet our children fade. You refuse to admit what we all see: our time is ending. But he, this human, he gave life where there was none. He carries in him what we have lost, and you would destroy that because of pride. Whispers filled the chamber again, louder this time. The council members shifted in their seats, doubt spreading through their cold eyes. The first elder slammed his staff against the floor. Silence. Your words are poison. The bond is false. The human is nothing, and you, he pointed at the alien girl with fury. You are no daughter of our kind. You are corrupted. Before the guards could seize her, the human stepped forward. His voice cut through the chamber like a blade. Enough. The elders froze. The guards hesitated. The human's voice carried no weapon, yet it struck with power. You call me nothing? You call me parasite. But you fear me? You fear what I represent because I survived. Because I gave hope when you could not. You call it weakness, but your people see it for what it is. They see strength. They see truth. The human turned slowly, his eyes meeting those of the council one by one. Kill me if you want. Call me worthless. But remember this, if I die, the bond does not die. The girl does not die. The truth does not die. You cannot kill what has already begun. The chamber fell silent again. The alien girl's eyes glimmered with something fierce pride. The first elder's hand shook on his staff. His pride demanded death. But the way to the chamber had shifted. Some of the council looked uncertain, some even afraid. And in the silence, a new truth echoed through the hall. The human was no longer just a prisoner. He was a revelation. The council had sought to break him, but instead, his defiance had cracked their authority, and in that crack, hope began to grow. The legacy of the Bonla chamber of the High Council was heavy with silence. The human's words still hung in the air like a blade that had struck deep. Elders shifted uneasily in their seats. The soldiers avoided his gaze, and even the cold. Walls of the citadel seemed to hold their breath. The alien girl stood beside him, her chin lifted high, for the first time in her life. She had spoken against her people's highest law. And for the first time, she felt no fear. Her fear had been replaced by fire, the eldest of the council. His face, carved with lines of pride and age, finally rose. His voice cracked like thunder. This human dares stand before us as equal. This daughter dares twist our traditions, and yet the bond cannot be denied. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Some elders whispered in protest, others fell silent. The human's chest tightened. He had expected fury, punishment, even death, but not this acknowledgement. The elder continued. Our laws were written in the stars. They say the bond of fire, once made, cannot be broken. The law does not speak of species. It does not speak of blood. It speaks only of fire. His words shook the hall. Nobles and soldiers looked at one another in disbelief. Centuries of arrogance cracked in a single moment. Another elder rose, his eyes filled with rage. No. This cannot stand. If we accept this human, if we accept this bond, then our purity is lost. Our empire will be weakened. We will be nothing. The alien girl's voice rang out, strong and steady. No. You are already nothing. You hide behind words of strength while our people fade. You call it purity, but it is decay. You fear the truth because it shows you your weakness. But weakness is not in Hemet, is in your pride. The chamber roared with whispers. Louder this time, the council was divided. One side demanded the human's death. The other feared breaking the very law that defined them. The human stepped forward. His voice cut through the chaos. You fear me because I am different, but it is not me you should fear. Is the truth. Your people are dying. You know it. You deny it. You call it purity, but it is nothing more than slow death. If my bond with her shows you anything, it should show you this. Survival does not come from pride. It comes from change. His words were simple, but they struck like fire. The chamber fell silent again. The eldest elder lowered his head, his voice heavy. Then the council must decide. Shall we break our law to preserve our pride, or keep our law and embrace change? The vote began. One by one, elders raised their hands, some in fury, some in fear, some in quiet acceptance. At last, the count was clear, split, almost evenly, but not enough to deny the bond was real, and by their own law, it must stand. Then, elder declared, the human and the daughter are bound. Their bond is recognized. Their lives cannot be taken. Their truth cannot be silenced. The alien girl closed her eyes, relief flooding her chest. The human let out a slow breath, but his hands did not relax. He knew this was not victory, not yet. The council leader's voice grew darker. But know this, human, you have one law, but not loyalty. There are many who will never accept you, many who will never accept what your bond means. You will live, but you will be hunted, and your legacy will bring war. The human met his gaze without flinching. Then let it bring war, because humans do not run from it. The chamber erupted with noise again. Some shouted in anger, others in awe. The seeds of rebellion had been planted. The alien girl reached for the human's hand, her voice soft but steady. You see? You are more dangerous than any weapon. You speak truth, and even they cannot kill it. He looked at her, his anger fading into something else, resolve. If I'm dangerous, it's only because I chose to help you. Because I chose kindness. And if kindness is dangerous, then maybe your people need more of it. Her lips curved faintly, the closest thing to a smile he had ever seen on her face. The council dismissed them, but the air was still heavy with threat. Soldiers escorted them out, yet none dared touch them. The people in the lower halls whispered as they passed. Some spat curses, but others looked at the human with something new in their eyes: curiosity, maybe even hope. Outside the citadel, the cold air struck hard. The human inhaled sharply. The alien girl beside him. They had survived the council. But he knew their struggle was only beginning. The alien girl stopped. Turning to him, her eyes gleamed under the pale light of the moons. "You do not understand what you have done," she whispered. "You have changed the law. You have changed everything." He shook his head. "I didn't change anything. I only spoke the truth." She stepped closer, her voice trembling, and said, "That is why you are dangerous, because you believe truth is enough. My people will never stop fearing that. They will never stop fearing you." The human looked at the frozen horizon, endless and vast, his voice steady. "Then let them fear, because fear means they cannot ignore it, and maybe, just maybe, it means they will learn." The alien girl watched him for a long moment, then whispered, "You are not like us, human, and yet, perhaps that is why you may save us." The wind howled across the ice, but it no longer felt like emptiness. It felt like the beginning of something larger. The human had come to this frozen world to survive, but now he carried something greater. Bond that defied empires, a truth that could not be silenced. And somewhere in the distance, beneath the endless stars, the legacy of that bond began to spread, whispered first in secret, then in shouts, until one day, it would shake the galaxy. For the human had offered warmth in a tent, and in doing so, he had lit a fire no storm could ever extinguish. Shadows of rebellion, the citadel's great doors closed behind them with a heavy thud. The human and the alien girl stepped into the frozen air, free for now, but not safe. The council had recognized their bond, but recognition was not acceptance. In truth, the danger had only grown. Everywhere they walked, eyes followed, some filled with awe, others with hatred. The whispers spread like wildfire. The human lives. The bond is real. The law has been broken. The human pulled the blanket tighter around his shoulders. His body was tired, but his spirit was steady. He had not come to this world to become a symbol. Yet now he was one. The alien girl walked close beside him, her expression unreadable. But in her eyes burned quiet determination. As they passed through the lower halls of the city, people began to gather. First a few, then dozens, then hundreds. Some shouted curses, throwing stones of ice. Parasite. They cried, "Weak blood." Others bowed their heads in silence, as if fearing to show any reaction. But a few, only a few, looked with something else: hope. The human noticed those eyes, and it unsettled him more than the hate. He was no leader, no warrior. He was just a man who had offered warmth in a storm. Yet now he was being treated like a prophecy. That night, they took shelter in a smaller outpost on the edge of the citadel. Soldiers had been ordered to guard them, not protect them. It was clear that many of the guards hoped for the council's decision to be overturned. Inside the outpost, the alien girl sat by a new fire, her voice quiet. "Do you see? Already the world is splitting. Half will follow you, half will kill you. The council may have spared your life, but they will not protect it." The human rubbed his tired face. "Then what do we do? Keep running, keep hiding." Her eyes locked. On his, sharp and bright. "No, if we hide, we lose. The bond was not meant to stay secret. It must be seen. It must be tested. If it survives, then so do we. If it breaks, then nothing survives." The human's stomach tightened. He had never asked for this weight, but now it rested on him anyway. Before he could answer, a soldier entered the outpost, his face grim. "There is unrest in the lower city," he said. Crowds gather. Some chant for the human's death, others call for his rise. The balance is breaking. The alien girl stood at once. "The council will lose control if the people rise. They will try to silence us before that happens." The human muttered, Then they'll come for us again, and he was right, that night. As the moons hung low, shadows moved in the dark. Armed figures slipped through the alleys of the city. They were not soldiers of the council, they were rebels. Nobles and warriors who refused to accept the law. The outpost shook with the sound of breaking stone. The human leaped to his feet. As flames spread across the outer walls, soldiers shouted, blades clashed in the night. The alien girl grabbed his hand, her voice sharp. They are here for you. Stay close. The human snatched up his knife, but he knew it was no match for their weapons. The rebels poured in, masked and furious. Seize him. One shouted, kill the parasite and end this lie. The human braced himself, but the alien girl stepped. In front of him, her eyes blazing, she raised her hands, shouting, by law, he is under my bond. Touch him and you break our oldest tradition. For a moment, the rebels hesitated, but their leader spat, that law is already broken. Your bond is corruption, and corruption must be burned. They surged forward. The human slashed with his knife, barely keeping them back. The alien girl fought too, striking with sudden skill. Her movements were sharp. Trained, she had been raised in a world where survival meant combat. Still, they were outnumbered. The human felt a blade slash his arm, pain burning through him. He stumbled, but did not fall. Go. He shouted to her, save yourself. But she seized his arm, pulling him upright, her voice fierce. We are bound. I will not leave you. The battle raged in the narrow halls. Soldiers loyal to the council joined in, fighting back the rebels. The clash of steel and the cries of fury filled the night. At last, the rebels began to retreat, dragging their wounded with them. Their leader glared back at the human, his voice dripping with venom. You will not live long, human. The council's law may protect you, but our blades will not rest. Then they were gone. Leaving only blood and smoke behind, the human sank against the wall, his chest heaving. His arm bled, his body trembled, but he was alive. The alien girl knelt beside him, pressing cloth to his wound, her voice low, almost trembling. Do you see now? It has begun. This is not just you and me anymore. This is war. Between those who cling to pride and those who seek hope. The human stared at her, his jaw tight, and I'm supposed to be in the middle of it. Her eyes softened, not. In the middle, at the front, he wanted to refuse, to deny, but he saw it in her gaze. He saw it in the whispers of the people. He saw it in the fire that refused to die. He had offered warmth to a stranger in a storm, and now he had lit a fire that burned through an empire. The night grew quiet again. But only for a moment, for beyond the citadel, beyond the frozen world, whispers of rebellion spread. Some called him a savior, some called him a curse, but all agreed nothing would ever be the same. And in the shadows, enemies sharpened their blades, preparing for the day when the bond would no longer be judged by words, but by war.